Hello, this is the fall slash third quarter moon phase episode of the Lunar Year Series. I started this series in the spring, and I've been walking you through in real time throughout the year how the lunar phase from the new moon down to the full moon, back around to the new moon, that cycle can be applied or overlaid, if you will, to a 12-month period. So a whole calendar year. And we are at the fall third quarter moon phase because we just had the fall equinox a few days ago. So let's see. You may be wondering whether, I don't know, depending on whether you've caught the prior episodes or not, what does the lunar cycle have to do with the calendar year, and why is this even something that I'm talking about? Well, I'm walking you through how to apply the lunar cycle to an entire calendar year to show you that there are different ways of working with and incorporating the lunar cycle in your manifesting, in your day-to-day life, and how they can overlay and overlap each other. So let me break down how the lunar phases, the four main quarters, line up with the four seasons of the year. So the new moon phase is associated with winter, so the winter time, because the new moon, when we have a new moon, the moon is dark. We don't really see it in the sky. And winter is the dark time of year, right? That's when we have less light. We don't really feel as active necessarily. So it's like that association, the darkness, the dark time. And spring is the first quarter moon associated with the first quarter moon. The first quarter moon phase is the time to start taking action and to start planting those seeds, if you will, or sowing those seeds. And that's what happens in spring. We may be planting in spring, and depending on the type of vegetation, the type of geographical area that you live in, you might also start seeing some sprouts or some things coming up that have either been dormant or that are what am I talking about? They're dormant or they're perennials. They come back on their own. So it's like this action growing phase, of things coming to life. And so that is a very action taking energy. Summer, which we just wrapped up, is associated with the full moon and also like shadow work time, because we cannot have shadows without light. So when the moon is full, that is when it's its biggest and brightest. And of course, summer is when we have the full energy of the sun, longer days, and we have higher temperatures, and there's a lot of light around. And that light is what creates the shadows. So the shadow season, full moon period, is summer. And then the third quarter moon phase for the year is the fall season. So that is when things are dying back. We're going to look forward to the next lunar cycle. That's what we start doing at this time of year as well. We start looking forward to the next year, whether we start preparing for it or we're looking to see what can be accomplished in this last part of the year before we hit the new year. The same energy applies. So let me see as I follow along here. The lunar year follows the season. So each quarter phase has 3 months in it. It follows the seasons, which have about 3 months each. And you can jump in anywhere, just like you can with setting new moon intentions through a month-long lunar cycle. You can jump in anywhere in the year. There is no wrong or right time, and there's absolutely no need to wait. The lunar cycle follows a cycle. It repeats over and over, so there is no wrong or right time to start. And with starting now, if you're jumping in now or jumping back on the third quarter moon phase of the year, the third quarter moon phase of the lunar cycle, this is a time to start dreaming of dreaming bigger, like daydreaming type of dreaming, like not what you know can be accomplished, not the things that you want to change, like the habits or things along that line, but what do you want to be different about your life? What would you like to, how would you like to be living or experiencing life or moving through your day to day life differently than you are now? And the example that I frequently give at this time, think about and this is going to be seem very extreme, but think about the Wright brothers when they were coming up with the concept of an airplane, of a machine or a contraption that could fly. This was not in anybody's reference yet. This was not something that was common back then. They were dreaming and envisioning something completely different. So, whether you are looking to come up with a new invention or something that has not yet that is not yet a regular thing, or something that the rest of the world might be aware of, whether it's to that extent or not, or it's along the lines of you want your life to look different, you want to be living in a different place, you want to be doing different things, you want to be feeling different in your day-to-day existence. How can that look and feel like for you? That's the type of dreaming. Like, remember when you were maybe a kid sitting in a boring class, you were looking out the window daydreaming, or just like some random, I wouldn't say oddball, but just kind of like the far out dreams that you had. And I'm going to touch on a little bit of mine later to give you an example, a more tangible example, possibly. So, dreaming, imagining, envisioning yourself, living your desires, living your intentions, and tapping into some creativity, because imagining a new way of doing things, imagining a new way of living, imagining a new existence than your current one or what you've been accustomed to, or what your family and friends and whoever expect, or maybe it's beyond their comprehension of what life might look like. That is creativity. You're imagining something that is not currently in existence. So tap into some creative projects, some creative activities to maybe help inspire those ideas and to document them, or to what's the word I'm thinking of? Like, play them out, right? Play them out. So along the lines, you could do a vision board, and you could do a vision board for simply the season of fall. You could do a vision board kind of envisioning this new life that you're not yet experiencing, but look to be experiencing. You could find some crafting activities and maybe turn those into gifts even around this time of year. You could get into painting, whatever that looks like for you. It doesn't have to be on a big canvas. I have a sketchbook, like those. They're bigger than 8.5 by 11, but like a sketchbook that you get at a craft store or something. And I use that as an art journal, as a creative journal, and put paint on there and then stick pictures and do all sorts of creative things on that. So think about some creative endeavors or some creative activities you might want to participate in this time of year, or at the third quarter moon phase of the lunar cycle as well. And so, speaking about dreaming, because this is, like I said, that dreamy phase, the envisioning phase, right? Like, ooh, what could life look like? I invite you to look as far back as you can remember, as a little kid, as a teenager, when you had those far out dreams or those far out daydreams, those rock star dreams. You hear me talk about that a lot. And I talk about rock star dreams because those are the ones that people who don't have them seem like, oh, that's just outlandish. What do you mean you want to be a rock star? And I don't mean to say that you want to be any type of performer or musician, but that type of dream. I mean, think about a rock star when, they tell their parents, or they start doing things. I'm going to be the biggest rock star in the world. And everyone around them says, yeah, I don't think so. Or it's not likely, or good luck, or whatever. That type of energy, right? Like, what are those outlandish rock star dreams that you either allow, welcome in, or get back in touch with, that maybe you had, at a previous point in your life? Follow those dreams. Now, the reason I say follow them is just try them. Start taking action towards the ones that still call you, towards the ones that say, hey, what if? What if this happened? Or let's see how far I can get with this dream, or what it might lead to. Because I see these dreams, like the ones that seem outlandish, as direction markers or road guides, if you will. Maybe that's the way your brain is putting it together, based on some seeds or ideas that your soul, your higher self, your future self is planting, but with your current experiences, with your current knowledge, your brain wraps it around or presents it to you in a way that, okay, I can see this picture. I might not think it's possible, or it might not really be the thing, but this is how, this is the idea that I'm having. So follow them, even if it's to start out writing it out. What could this look like? What is this idea, this dream that is presenting itself to me? So the end result may or may not look anything like that dream, but that's how it starts formulating, and it morphs along the way. Like, I don't even have any comprehension of what would have inspired the Wright brothers to come up with an idea for a flying machine, a flying contraption. I'm sure it was inspired by birds, right? Because they fly and humans don't. But what were those initial thoughts? I mean, and think about what their initial machines, what their initial experiments, what that has led to today. Planes that carry hundreds of people at a time. Do you think they had that type of comprehension and expansion in their brain at the time? I have no idea. Maybe they did. But that's what I'm talking about. Allow the dreams and the ideas that you have or that come to mind, and just follow them and get curious about that and see what they lead to. So, for example, I'll give you a few examples in my experience just to kind of help you maybe, make sense of this. So, as a teenager, I had this, back then I didn't refer to it as a rock star dream, even though it does kind of associate with rock stars, which is probably why I use this terminology still today. So, as a teenager, I had the outlandish, like, people in my life are like, where is that coming from? Dream of being a tour manager, like a tour manager for bands and musicians and, just all that. I didn't want to be the musician. I didn't want to be the person, performing. I wanted to be planning and involved and participating and in charge, if you will, of like what was going on and doing all that. And at the time, my dad had a trucking company. He was self-employed, had a trucking company. And part of my dream and vision was turning that trucking company into the transport company that transported all the gear and had the buses and all that. So like, well, this is grand vision that I had, right? And like I said, I didn't want to be the musician. I wanted to be the tour manager because of my love of music and traveling. I wanted to go do things and check out places and not be in the same place all the time. And I loved music. Music is a very core component in my life. And so my brain whatever seed was being planted by my higher future self, my soul, my brain interpreted that as a tour manager for rock bands, musicians. Of course, that's fabulous. Let's see, where am I at now? So I include now, how does that play out? Am I a tour manager? I am not. But I do incorporate pretty heavily music in my business. I have a manifesting songs playlist that is available to get. If you haven't gotten it yet, it's free. There'll be a link somewhere around where you're watching or listening to this. And so I created a manifesting songs playlist. I incorporate music and lyrics as journal prompts frequently when I do my journaling activities or classes. And I simply just talk about it all the time. And I mean, the name of my podcast is the Rockstar Manifestors Podcast. My Facebook group is the Moon Manifesting Rockstars Facebook group. So I still very much am connected to that energy, but I'm not a musician. I still don't have a desire to be a musician, but I have infused and incorporated that in my business because it's a key component of my life. And back then, when my brain, formulated this out there outlandish dream, I was not aware of the profession or of the possibility of being of public speakers. I don't know if they were a thing back then. They might have been. It was just not in my awareness. But my soul, my higher self, my intuition was planting the seeds, and that's what my brain turned it into. Being a tour manager out on the road, delegating and telling, choosing or whatever, like the next place that we were going to go to and coordinating all those things. And so I am still allowing that to play out. I am doing a little bit more like speaking and presenting. And so that is something, right, that I could take on tour. I could have a speaking tour, or I contributed a chapter to a book last year where, so I became a published author, which was also something that has been on my vision board before that. And I'm not done with that. I still have the continuing desire to write and, publish a book, like an entire book of my own that could turn into a speaking tour or a book tour or whatever. So I'm not dismissing it, but see how simply following the threads, and very often we have to look back to be able to connect the dots. We can't very easily connect the dots moving forward, but we can look back and look and say, hey, those ideas are kind of playing out this way. Or what if I allowed those ideas to play out this way? And a few episodes back, I don't remember exactly how many, I told the story of my Blue Moon story, because my business is named Blue Moon Manifestations because it came to be. The idea was born at the time of a blue moon. So we had a blue moon not too long ago. And so I told and shared my Blue Moon story. So you can listen to that episode to hear the whole thing. But following this thread of simply just following the ideas, I set the intention to earn some extra income, not because I needed it, but in a way that was fun, because the job I had, which I still do on a smaller scale, was something I'm good at and I've done for a long time, but it wasn't a soul fulfilling. It wasn't like the thing that I wanted to continue doing. So I set the intention to come up with an idea or to manifest an idea of extra income in a way that was fun. And so around that time, I was presented with the opportunity to take a business class. And when I took that business class in a community that I was already a part of, I initially considered doing consulting in the field that I was already working in, which is the insurance field. It's not, it's not as sexy. It's not a very, exciting field, but I know it and I've worked in it for a long time. And so it's reducing and this is expanding. But so I initially considered doing consulting in that field. During that time as well, I came across vision board workshops and decided to start offering vision board workshops. That was that manifestation of the intention I set, which led to starting my business with vision board workshops. Taking that step led to me wanting to help people live their vision boards. You hear me if you've been around or if you are around for a bit more, depending. I frequently say that I take you from creating your vision board to living your vision board. That developed from starting vision board workshops, which turned into coaching. So that's another example. And the third one, and this is the last one because it does connect to that business class. In that community, if you guys are familiar with the Sisters Enchanted, it's a community of amazing people and they have courses and classes and all sorts of wonderful things. And so I started taking classes with them probably about, let's see, my business just turned 5. So I probably started taking classes with them a year to a year and a half before that, right? So I take classes and they offered that business class that I told you about. And so through taking the classes, through getting to know people and doing the business classes, I had the desire to be a guest teacher for them because I saw that they had guest teachers, guest presenters, and thought that would be really cool to do. And I achieved that. I was given the opportunity to be a guest teacher for a class I think they were doing, a conference. And so I was like, hey, I was able to do that. And it took me a minute to realize I just manifested something that I had desired. That led to opportunities to teach and present at future conferences. It also led to opportunities for me to fill in and substitute for, the people that were regulars because I was involved in the community. I was taking their classes. I was doing these things. And so it led to filling in for as a guest teacher and for like a substitute, basically, when one of the regular people could not do it. And that currently has now led to me being the mastermind coach for their mastermind program. I didn't know I was going to be a mastermind coach for them when I first had the desire to be a guest teacher for them and present at one of their conferences. And I've done that several times. I'm going to do it again this year. So, and that now I am the mastermind coach for their entire mastermind program. So those are just a few examples of getting curious and simply trying and following these ideas and the things that come up that call you, that attract you, even or maybe especially when you don't know why or what it might lead to. Just say, hey, this could be fun. Who knows what this could lead to? And so I invite you to do that as we're in just early into the fall season. And if you are watching this sometime in the future, whether it's fall or not, you can apply this same ideas to the third quarter moon phase of the lunar cycle, which is that last quarter phase before we get to the next new moon. And if you're not sure what those dreams are, like nothing is coming to mind, you don't have the daydreams or you don't remember them, or just, you're not sure what those dreams are or how you can envision a new way of being, I'm going to give you 4 prompts that you can journal about, you can write about, think about whatever it is. And it's very basic. You can apply this to any, there's 4 different prompts I'll give you that are not like outlandish and wild, but it will get that creativity started and flowing. And if you allow yourself to simply write it out and follow the threads wherever they may lead, doesn't have to be complete cohesive sentences. That might just trigger a memory, or it might trigger an idea that is a brand new idea. As long as you're receptive and in this what might be possible type of energy. So the first one is describe your ideal day and how you spend it. How would your ideal day be if you didn't have to worry about money? You didn't have to worry about what other people thought. These are all questions that I ask and present at my vision board workshop. So you're getting a sneak peek into that. So if other people's opinions, if other people, if money, all these things that may be holding you back now, if none of these things were an issue, describe your ideal day. Would you be working in the same field that you are now? Would you be working at all? Would you have, a side income, a digital, business, a virtual business? Would you be traveling and working? What would your ideal day be, and how would you spend your day in a world where none of the things that are barriers that we perceive as barriers now, if they didn't come into play at all? So that's the first one. Describe your ideal day and how you spend it. And don't limit yourself. Like, it might not make sense. Like, it might not be reasonable to say, oh, I sit out on the couch or on the lounge or on the deck or whatever, and simply talk on, have meetings on my laptop all day and whatever. That might not seem feasible. It might not seem realistic, but don't filter yourself. Just let the ideas come. Number 2, write about a dream job or career. What did you want to be when you were a kid? Like me, with wanting to be the tour manager. Think back to those ideas that you had as a kid. And they might not come right away if you haven't really kept in touch with them, or you didn't pay them a whole lot of mind, or you were discouraged or dissuaded from, following those dreams. Write about a dream job or career, no matter how realistic or unrealistic it seems, and start by thinking about what you wanted to be when you were a kid. Number 3, describe the most amazing day you can imagine. Now, this is different from the first one in that this is just an amazing day. Maybe you're on vacation. Maybe it's a wedding day. Maybe it's a graduation day. Maybe it's the fulfillment of the trip of a lifetime. What is the most amazing day that you can imagine? Where in the world are you? What are you doing? What people are with you? Or are you by yourself? All the details that that kind of come to you. Again, no filtering or holding yourself back in this exercise. And lastly, this is like the catch-all for everything. What would you ask a genie for? If you came across a lamp with a genie and a genie popped out of it, hell yeah, what would you ask a genie for? There's no harm in following this thread, right? It might inspire an idea. It might simply help you feel better about things or give you some sparks of creativity. What would you ask a genie for? And so those are things to maybe try at this time. We have a full moon coming up, so you can go back and listen to the last Lunar Series episode if you want. Or, to learn a bit about the full moon phase, or if you want to learn more about this and have a conversation or interactions in real time, every single month I do a full moon and new moon live chat in my Facebook group, the one I mentioned earlier, the Moon Manifesting Rockstars Facebook group. I also do this. It's live in the group, But if Facebook is not your thing, it is also live on my YouTube channel. And again, I will put the links to all these things somewhere around where you're listening to or maybe watching this. And the next one is coming up on Friday. I am recording this podcast episode on September 27th of 2023. And so the next full moon, it will be the Aries full moon live, is going to be in 2 days on September 29th of 2023. And if you can't make it live on either platform, the replays just stay in there. You have access to the replays at any time. They just stay in both places. And you can join in live and ask questions, get coaching, get mentoring, learn about the zodiac that particular moon is in, and how to apply those traits and help you set intentions, take action, all the things. And so I do that for the new moon and full moon. Currently, in this, again, it is, I think, on October 7th. So a little bit beyond that, I will be presenting, AKA speaking, like I talked about earlier, at the Season of the Witch conference for Wise Woman Witchery. My presentation will be about learning how to create a personal relationship with the moon and the lunar cycles. So it's a little bit of a different twist, and how you can actually create your own rhythms, your own relationship with the lunar cycle on the monthly level, on the yearly level, on the quarterly level, and how you can personalize it and make it suit you and your experience and your important days and things. So that is a presentation. I will also have the link somewhere around, and that is happening on October. It's a whole weekend. So I think October 7th. I'm not sure if that's the Friday or the Saturday, but it's the Friday and Saturday, and there'll be one bonus from the host, Emily, on Thursday to kick off the presentation. And on an ongoing basis, which is available all the time, I have my Manifesting Me with the Moon course, and that walks you through. It's DIY. There's no live component to it. It walks you through the new moons of the zodiac, intentions that you might want to set at that time. And by working with the new moons for an entire year, you can work on or check in on or set intentions for every single aspect of your life. And I am adding to that currently a playlist that goes along with each of the zodiac signs. Previously, I added, let's see, the associations that are in there are the essential oil, the goddess, the planet, the deity, I think. No, not the deity, it's the goddess, the chakra, the archangel, that's what it was, the archangel, and now the playlist that goes along with every single zodiac sign. And once you get the course, you have access to it for life, and all of the new additions you automatically get. So that, again, will be linked somewhere. And then just as a preview, there will be a new digital product that I will be releasing and unveiling and offering starting at the beginning of October. So just a few days away from the day that I'm recording this. So depending on when you're watching or listening to this, it may already be available, or it's coming soon. In just a few days, there'll be a digital product, of course, tied to manifesting and helping you make that a regular part of your life. So that's what I have for you guys today. I would love any feedback, and as always, any topics that you would like me to talk about or cover on the podcast. The easiest way to get that to me is to email me, and the email is vision, VISION, at bluemoonmanifestations.com. And I would love to hear what you'd like to learn about or talk about or hear about from me. And I like to see you guys in the new moon and full moon live calls that I have on my Facebook page and YouTube every month. So I will see you guys soon.